Meta AI is the personal AI that's tailored to you, now with its very own app. It's built to get to know you, offering helpful answers and inspiration. Looking for something to add to your bucket list? Meta AI goes beyond traveling the world. It remembers you're a basketball fanatic and suggests you attend one of the playoff games. Just start typing or speaking to get the answers you need, wherever and whenever, because Meta AI is your personal AI. Download the Meta AI app, now available on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
The Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Roger Stone Show. Joining me now is Lee Smith. He's the author of the New York Times bestseller, The Plot Against the President. He reports regularly for Tablet Magazine. His new book, Disappearing the President, is a page-turner. It talks about how even before a would-be killer tried to murder President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, a clique of political assassins set about eliminating him entirely from public life. In his new book, Disappearing the President, Lee Smith exposes how a shadow network of powerful partisan activists have waged a years-long scorched earth war to eradicate President Trump and any vestige of his influence, resorting to an unprecedented campaign of domestic spying, election rigging, brute force censorship, and political violence. Anti-Trump zealots have undermined the federal government, sabotaged countless other vital institutions in their relentless quest to crush the former president, and they have failed. Check that book out, Disappearing the President. But Lee Smith joins us now to talk to us about a terrific piece that he has up now at Tablet Magazine entitled The Normal President. By quarterbacking Israel's attack on Iran, President Trump brought an end to a particularly demoralizing era in U.S. history. Lee, I agree. The president's head fake here, his statecraft has been flawless. Lay this out for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what happened, Rogers, it's been important. You and I, your audience knows how to stay keyed to what President Trump is saying. But there's such an intense and dense communications war going on, right? All the different actors who were involved, complicating the issues, confusing it, all sorts of fake leaks, all sorts of hostile information that was being put out. But the president was very clear. The president was very clear long before the November election. Remember what happened after the Biden administration told the government of Israel not to attack energy facilities in Iran or nuclear facilities. This was, I believe, in July. And candidate Trump said that makes no sense. The first thing you want to hit is the nuclear facilities, right, to get rid of those things. So Donald Trump has been very, very consistent on this point all along. And if you just key to Donald Trump, what he was saying, the Iranians cannot enrich uranium. They must dismantle their program. They're not getting anything, nothing. We want to settle this peacefully. I think Iran could be a great country, but they have to do it peacefully. But they can't have a nuclear bomb. And if they don't do it peacefully, then we'll do it the other way, and they'll see more bombs. It'll be worse than anything they can possibly imagine. So I think insofar as the president was very clear and people were listening to him, knew what was happening. But I also think that the administration used a lot of the noise to catch the Iranians off guard, and it appears that that's what happened. The Iranians didn't really understand what was going on, even after the State Department and the Pentagon started moving people around in the region, non-essential workers at embassies, and the family members of uniformed military. They were all moved out of harm's way, or if they wanted to get out of harm's way. So there were signals right up to the moment of Israel's attack. But again, I believe that the president and the Prime Minister of Israel used that misdirection and used a lot of the misreporting, the hostile reporting, to lull the Iranians to sleep.
Yeah, this is the brilliance of it. You write, Trump spent 2 months neutralizing the Iranians without them realizing he was drawing them into the briar patch. Iranian diplomats pride themselves on their negotiating skills. Generations of U.S. diplomats have marveled at the Iranians' abilities to wipe the floor with them. It's a cultural thing. ever try to bargain with a carpet merchant in Tehran. And Trump also praised them repeatedly for their talents. Very good negotiators. The Iranians were in their sweet spot and must have imagined they could negotiate until Trump gave in to their demands. But it was Trump who was a trickster. He tied them down for 2 months, time that he gave the Israelis to make sure they had everything in order. This deception was truly, truly brilliant, taking advantage of media reports that he had fallen out with the Israelis, that he was moving away from them. It was the most impressive operational feint, you write, since the Normandy invasion. Very impressive.
Yeah. I think one of the things that happened here, I was just reading as you were reading that line from my piece. It's like you've spent enough time in Washington, Roger, as have I, to know how these people around the State Department, I'm not saying Secretary Rubio's State Department, but I'm saying we know with these career diplomats and we know with the career State Department, people are like, oh, wow, the Iranians, they're such great negotiators. They negotiated rings around Barack Obama's team. That's how they wound up with their nuclear program protected by the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Well, that's not really what happened. The Iranians, I'm sure, are quite decent negotiators, but then they're up against someone like Donald Trump, who's, of course, famously a deal maker, famously a negotiator. But the important thing also is he's a normal American, too. That's my point with the title of a normal president, right? He's not one of these establishment fakes who comes back and tells you, oh, yeah, the Iranians are great, they're so special. I mean, it's a monstrous regime. And so Donald Trump, he sticks to his word. He keeps his eyes forward, knows what the American people want, and that's what he's representing. So, again, an exceptional president, but also a normal president and a normal American with normal American values and with normal American skills and talents, too.
Yeah, I mean, you raise a very interesting question. Did the Iranians believe reports that the pro-Israel camp was losing influence with Trump and that the restraintists were on the rise? Did Iran lobby the officials, from some of the American think tanks? Don't worry about the neocons. Things are moving away from them. At the same time, I think Trump has kept faith with his electoral coalition. I mean, he was elected as a non-interventionist. He was elected as the peace candidate. As of this moment, it does not appear that Operation Rising Lion will split the MAGA coalition. Polls, as you point out, indicate that's not the case. 84% of likely voters believe that Iran cannot be allowed to have a bomb. Only 9% disagreed. More Americans think it's okay for men to play in women's sports. That was 21%. So those who think Iran should have a bomb is a small group. I'm still hopeful that we will not have to use our bunker-busting bombs to enter this fray. Clearly, the Israelis are still trying to get us to do so. But Trump, so far, I think, has played this perfectly, as 60% of Americans support Israel taking out Iran's nuclear weapons program. That number's 78% among Republicans. Extraordinary.
I think the only blunder that Donald Trump could make would be to say, we're going to try to figure out if this regime falls, we're going to try to work with everyone and figure out who rules Iran next. And we're going to put State Department people and Pentagon people on the ground to help nurture their new government. That would be a catastrophe. That, to my mind, is the only blunder that Donald Trump can make. And let's remember what happened with the Iraq War. Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense at the time, was the guy saying, like, no, we don't want anything to do with nation building. This was all Colin Powell and the Pottery Barn rule. You broke it, you fix it. I think that Donald Trump will go down as long as Donald Trump does not do that. If Donald Trump eliminates this idea from American foreign policy, that after we or one of our allies makes war on an adversary, just says, you know what? It's not our business how you decide to rule yourselves. We just told you, though, don't mess with us. Just don't do it again, and we won't do this again. Now, maybe some point at some time in the future, we can help you get going. If you have a nice government, a nice bunch of people, this is what they did with the new Syrian government, right? Led by Ahmed Shara, and he's not necessarily, Donald Trump met him in Saudi, and Donald was like, well, yeah, whatever, we'll relieve sanctions. Good luck. I hope you make a good thing out of your new Syrian state. I think that's a fine way to go, and that's a fine precedent for the future. What the United States must never do again is get involved with trying to shape the political outcomes of foreigners. That's how I understand America first. America first is to protect Americans, to advance American interests, and sometimes that's going to require, for better or for worse, military force, and that's fine because America has a powerful military and we have a powerful economy. There's lots of things that we can do to advance our own interests against people who are trying to hurt us. The thing we don't want to do again is interfere in how other countries decide to rule themselves. Let them figure it out.
If you're just tuning in, folks, we're talking to Lee Smith with Tablet Magazine on his great new piece. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial because we'll be right back with more of Lee Smith right after this break.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at Vanta.com.
America's beverage companies are investing in America. We're American companies, making American products with American workers in America's hometowns. We're local bottlers and manufacturers, operating in all 50 states, employing more than 275,000 Americans in good-paying jobs, delivering for the nation, because we believe in the promise of America and the people who make it great. Learn more at WeDeliverForAmerica.org, paid for by the American Beverage Association.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Choice Hotels gets you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. Like these road trippers making waffles and eating fresh fruit in their natural habitat. The breakfast area at a Comfort Inn. I just love seeing a vacation maximized in the wild. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
The Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. We're talking to Lee Smith. His latest book, Disappearing the President, is still completely salient. That's because the same people who orchestrated the Russian collusion hoax, the same people who orchestrated the phony Ukrainian impeachment, the same people who endeavored to keep Donald Trump off the ballot or to impoverish him or lock him up in the tsunami of lawfare unleashed against him are the same people financing the violent demonstrations in Los Angeles that are unfolding right before us, the same people behind the so-called No Kings demonstrations yesterday, which were a major flopperoo based on what I can see. But these political assassins are still very much out to destroy Donald Trump, and the danger persists. Check out his book, Disappearing the Presidents. You can get it any place where fine books are sold. Lee, in your piece here on Tablet, you mentioned that in a lengthy ex-post attacking Mark Levin, who I don't always agree with, but for whom I have enormous respect. My wife and I are big fans of his books. And others who think that Iranian bomb is bad for America. Tucker Carlson, who's been a friend of mine for 30 years, made the case for an Iranian bomb. Iran, he wrote, knows it's unwise to give up its weapons program entirely. Muammar Gaddafi tried that and wound up sodomized with a bayonet. As soon as Gaddafi disarmed, NATO killed him. Iran's leaders saw what happened. They learned the obvious lesson. You had a great response to that, addressing the question of the dangers of the Iranians having a bomb, if you would.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I remember, Roger, and I'm sure a lot of your audience, does too. But probably a large part of your your youth movement here on the Stone Zone, they may not remember, but the 1979 hostage crisis, the Iranians have done an awful lot of damage to America and to Americans, and they were a problem. They killed thousands of Americans in Iraq. Their ally Bashar al-Assad opened up Damascus airport, sent Sunni fighters to the Iraq border to kill Americans. So, in a sense, the Iranians are responsible for most of the deaths, for most American deaths, and people who were maimed, crippled, wounded terribly in Iraq, especially. So it's a very bad regime. And again, I obviously don't agree with the argument, but I understand the argument and appreciate the argument. People say, like, okay, fine, I get it. I don't like the Iranians either. I just don't think that the United States should be involved in bombing them or stopping them from getting a nuclear weapons program or aiding Israel to do it. Again, I don't agree with that argument, but it seems to me like, okay, fine, a perfectly fine argument. What strikes me as a strange argument is defending an Iranian nuclear weapons program in order for Tehran to defend itself against the United States. There's no doubt that a lot of American leadership has been off the wall, and Donald Trump was elected to repair that. Donald Trump was elected as the American president who's saying, I'm sick of losing. We have to go back to winning again. We have to win our trade deals. And if we get involved in wars, which we should avoid, we have to win them too. America's a nation of winners, and we have to be winners. So to say that, that foreign countries need nuclear weapons programs to protect themselves from us, and what that nuclear weapon program is designed to do regarding the United States, a lot of people I think are exaggerating a bit when they said, oh yeah, the Iranians have ballistic missiles that they'll fire at us. Well, someday that's true. The major problem right now, as we've seen for decades, is the terror acts, the terror operations that the Iranians wage across the world, including here in the United States. The Iranians have waged lots of terror plots, and they had different plans to kill Donald Trump here in the United States. So a nuclear weapons program gives them a dangerous shield to do things like that. The other thing it does is it gives them a nuclear shield to do hugely destructive things to the American economy, like shut down the Straits of Hormuz, which is what they're threatening now, which is ridiculous because they can't shut down the Straits of Hormuz without even more damage to regime infrastructure. But with a nuclear shield, yeah, they're able to do that. So that's why the nuclear weapons program in the hands of a terrorist state like Iran is a big problem for the United States. There's another thing, too. Iran is tied to the Russians, and Iran is tied to the Chinese. This is an alliance. This is a rising. This is the anti-U.S. bloc right now. China, Russia, and Iran. And it's a big problem for the U.S. and our allies. So I believe that, I believe that Donald Trump made an excellent decision. And like you, Roger, right now, I'd prefer the United States stays out of it for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think it's important that the Israelis show that they can do this on their own, A. B, most importantly, it is good. It is good for the United States when our allies take care of business all on their own. That reflects on our glory. How powerful are we? We didn't have to do anything. Our ally did it. You don't want to mess with us. Because as Donald Trump has said, yeah, the Israelis have lots of great equipment. Right? They do. Lots of great American equipment. That's right. They're using American equipment. And look at how tough they are. Look at how bad things are going for the Iranians who are bad guys. If the United States steps in, no one wants to get a piece of the United States.
All right, we have to end it there. Thanks to our guest, Lee Smith. You're listening to The Roger Stone Show. We'll be right back.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.